Welcome back to the part of the deep web that you're not supposed to see. Couldn't resist. So, those of you that join me on Wednesday, be warned. I'm including parts 1, 2, and 3 in this story as well. So what you're going to need to do is click forward to about the hour mark so that you can enjoy parts 4 and 5. Now, if you didn't see the previous video, I'm making this as easy for you as I can. I'm putting parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all together in one story. Can you believe it? 2 hours of fun for you tonight. Well, without further delay, you know what time it is. It's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink and listen. I'll assume you all know about the deep web. Well, what you've heard is true. It's not a great place. While some people are there to score weed or firearms, or even out of sheer curiosity, others, well, they're obviously not up to anything good. But I'm not here to talk about those sickos. I'm here to talk about what lies beyond that point. The more cryptic and unexplainable parts of the internet. The parts that nobody is really supposed to see. There was an infographic that cropped up a while ago. I'm not sure when. The 8 levels of the internet. Maybe you've seen it. Well, as interesting as it was, it's complete bunk. I'm sorry, but polymeric falsigol derivation means nothing. And the Primark system, well, I guess someone's a fan of Warhammer. No, there's no quantum mechanics involved here. However, that doesn't mean it's an easy place to find. Now, I'm not going to begin to tell you how to get there. It's unlikely that you'd be able to, even if I did. I'm not tooting my own horn here. I just didn't have a life outside of this. I was warned, of course. Everyone told me I wasn't going to like what I saw. That I wouldn't even understand it.
It's like these guys can't fucking read. I've said multiple times I'm stopping at UC to grab a couple of things.
Don't try to look for this.
Yeah, coming.
There's no official name for this place. Or at least, I haven't seen one. There were rumors, however. These ranged from an Illuminati chat room to a virtual holding cell for an experimental AI gone rogue. In reality, it's a lot worse. After a long and painful process of breaking down firewalls, encryptions, solving bizarre philosophical riddles, and following hidden links, I was finally directed to a blank page with one line of text and a text box underneath. Quid quaeris? Latin for, what do you seek? I remember feeling surprised, but in retrospect, I didn't know what I was expecting. I'll admit I was a bit stumped here, partly because I didn't know the answer to that question. I had no objective. I just wanted to see if I could do it. I tried some generic answers at first. I typed in the truth and enlightenment. You know, Matrix shit. Nothing happened. I tried a bunch of answers, but none of them worked. I was getting frustrated at this point. Maybe this was a gag page. Maybe I hadn't really figured anything out. Oh, if only. I tried something off the wall. Not sure how this came to me or why I thought it would work. But I typed in, what also seeks me. Now that I think about it, this thing might have been an AI. To my surprise, the page went blank. Like, fully blank. I waited. After about 5 minutes, I was directed to what looked like a forum. No, not even that. It was more basic, just a list of links over a brownish-yellow background. The links themselves were indecipherable, just seemingly random sequences of characters, symbols, and letters. A lot of them I'd never seen before. It almost looked like an alien language. Obviously, just a code I didn't understand. But at this point, expectations were off the wall. Each link was a shot in the dark. I clicked on the first one. It loaded up a live feed of what seemed to be the Paris catacombs. I watched for a while, but it was ultimately uneventful. I moved on to the next link. It was a shaky video in a dark setting, but I could make out men in tactical gear. They were in a house, opening doors and sweeping each room. Eventually, they kicked one down to reveal a creature, tall and humanoid, with scaly skin. It was gnawing on a dismembered arm. They tried shooting at it, but it escaped out of the window. The video stopped there. Well, I was floored. What the hell was this? It looked too real to be unreleased film footage, and I was officially intrigued. Maybe this was worth the months of headaches and bloodshot eyes after all. I couldn't stop now. I started working down the list of links. With each click, everything got more and more bizarre, more disturbing. I stumbled upon a document called the Paragon Project, detailing trials of human experimentation that would lead to superhuman levels of strength and durability. It was an apparent success. Looked official, too. There were essays on space-time anomalies, glitches in reality, and apparent pictures of alternate dimensions. There were detailed explanations regarding Area 51, the Bermuda Triangle, assassinations, disappearances, and the true nature of the Holy Grail. One of the more upsetting ones was a document referring to a world-ending bomb. A nuke that's 720,000 times stronger than the one dropped on Hiroshima. I don't know why we would need that. I found contingency plans for different kinds of apocalypses. Nuclear winter, biological weapons, viral outbreak. Some more peculiar ones were called the Marianas Trench Abnormality, the bluntly labeled Strange Man on the 15th Floor, and one simply referred to as Blackout. Recovered logs of skinwalker hunting expeditions, 911 transcripts from residents of a town in Texas that went missing in 1977, and even the journals that belonged to the people involved in the Dyatlov Pass incident. They didn't go insane because of the snow. I spent hours on there, looking through pages and pages of things I felt like I wasn't supposed to see. I came across a trailer to a silent film made back in 1910. One that apparently made people claw their eyes out after watching, that nearly derailed the whole industry. There was a live stream of a hooded man sitting in front of a camera, head crouched down. He eventually lifted his head, even though he had no mouth. A deep, guttural "hello" came through my speakers. Somehow, I knew it came from him. I didn't stick around for that. There were obscure sets of step-by-step guides that involved things like cutting off your own limbs and sewing on corpses, performing religious incantations in the middle of the Siberian forest, and going to coordinates that apparently housed captive, fallen angels. It was unclear what any of these were supposed to achieve. There was also a 20-second long clip titled "The Futility of the Living." I didn't watch it. That's when I realized there was no way even the highest form of organized government had full control of this. One of the scariest things about this whole experience was that I didn't find an end to the list, no matter how far I scrolled down. I think I had a meltdown and passed out eventually, because I woke up on my floor in the middle of the night. I looked at my computer screen to see looped helicopter footage of a massive, crab-like creature tearing apart a coastal island. I clicked off of it. I just sat there for the longest time. I couldn't comprehend what I was seeing, and I don't think I really wanted to. Now, I'm not really sure why I kept going. My brain was screaming for me to take my computer out to the lawn and smash it to pieces. But I didn't. I noticed something I hadn't before. A small message at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I don't know if it was always there or not. It was hard to read, so I had to squint. More Latin. Translated into, "Are you satisfied?" There were two options underneath it, yes and no. Now, I knew the answer to this question. Hell no, I wasn't satisfied. I was horrified, scarred for life. I should have clicked on yes. But if I just clicked on yes, it would have taken me out of that godforsaken place, back to comfort and sanity. Even right now. I can't tell you why I clicked on no. But once I did, the page seemed to refresh. It was still the basic same setup, except there were only 4 links. This time, there were no recognizable numbers or characters. Hell, it didn't look like anything that could have come from this world. Just a collection of extremely crude symbols that didn't give off any sense of pattern or direction. I clicked on the first link. After about 20 seconds, I slammed my computer shut. I can't describe to you what I saw. All I know is that I wasn't supposed to see it. Nobody should ever see something like this. It's not only that it didn't make any sense. I can't tell you why it didn't. I couldn't begin to grasp the images I was seeing. It wasn't graphic or anything, not like that. I just couldn't recognize it. I could make out things move, but not in a way that any creature on Earth has ever moved before. Colors I'd never seen before. Oh, just thinking about it gives me a splitting headache. This is my best attempt at visualizing it. We have 3 dimensions here on Earth. We can move forwards, backwards, left, right, 72.4 degrees southwest, and so on. These things, though, weren't restricted to that. I can't explain it any further. All I know is that I didn't want to watch one more second. I don't think I would have been able to. I left my room. For the first time in a while, I was planning to leave my house. I needed fresh air, to take a walk or something. Hell, I was thinking about running a marathon in the middle of the night just to get my mind off that shit for a few hours. I was putting on my jacket when I heard a knock at the door. I stopped dead in my tracks. Obviously, I wasn't opening up. After about a minute, and 5 more sets of knocks, suddenly somebody spoke up. "Open up. We know what you did, but we're not here to hurt you. We just want to talk." The tone wasn't threatening, so eventually I obliged. I opened up my door to 2 tall, slim men in suits. They smiled at me. Can we come in? I still don't know how they found me. I thought for sure that I was off the grid. We sat down on the couch. I guess I was just waiting for answers at this point. One of them looked at me and said, "What were you looking for?" "I don't know, but I'm not going back," I responded. He smiled again, like this is what he wanted to hear. The other one piped up. "Who do you work for?" His tone was a bit more aggressive. I just shook my head. "Look, I didn't know what I was getting into. I was just looking for anything." They stared at me for a while. "I'm not gonna tell anybody. Trust me." Finally, they responded. "Oh, we're not worried about that. Doubt anyone would believe you." Another smile. Somehow, it felt genuine. "We just wanted to know what your priorities were." In retrospect, that was a very strange question. "Just do us a favor and we'll leave." I perked up. "Give us the device you use to access it." I didn't ask any questions. I ran upstairs and basically tossed them my laptop. They both smirked at me one last time before heading for the door. Just as they were about to leave, one of them turned back. "I don't think you need to be told, but don't try this again. And don't show anybody else how to get there either. We'll know." I didn't ask who they were. I'm not sure I would have wanted to know. Well, it's been a week now. I don't go on the internet so much anymore. After this, I'm going to try and forget. To try not to think about it anymore. I've started having horrific nightmares. I've been seeing a therapist for that, but I don't think it's helping. Anyways, I'm not going to let this consume the rest of my life. The thing is, I'm afraid that might not be possible. There are some things we aren't supposed to know. Probably for our own safety and sanity. Don't try and seek them out. It's better that way. However, it might be a bit too late for me. They say that curiosity killed the cat. It's funny. That almost feels like a personal attack at this point. I haven't forgotten about that night. I mean, it's not just something you can stop thinking about. What the hell was that last thing I saw? The strange thing is, it never even comes up in my nightmares. It's always the other stuff. I swear, I can see that dude with no mouth every time I close my eyes. But maybe it's not so weird. My brain couldn't comprehend it the first time, so how can my subconscious produce a recreation? Shit, I don't want to think about it anymore. But I can't stop. You see, my problems aren't just in my head anymore. I thought I was done with this shit after the Men in Black had paid me a visit. I thought it was over. In retrospect, that was just wishful thinking. No, it was delusional. After what I'd seen, well, I guess it doesn't work like that. I guess the world just isn't that simple. Here's what's been happening. Wednesday. It's been 3 days since I've gotten back to work. I think I'm being followed. No, I'm sure I am. The thing is, the first time I didn't really notice. Whoever the hell they are, they've been using different vehicles. Always the same routine. After work, I get into my car and start driving home. Another vehicle always tails me until I turn into my driveway. And then they just drive past. Now, if it happens once, yeah, whatever. But 3 times. Under normal circumstances, I would call it a coincidence. But for obvious reasons, I can't do that right now. I'm not really sure what the hell they want. Maybe they're trying to monitor me. God, I hope that's all they're trying to do. If that's the case, I'll just lay low and ride it out. Just give them what they want. Thursday. This time, I tried to get a glimpse of them in my rear view. The windows were tinted. Great. Again, I pulled into my driveway, and they kept going. Now, I know I said I was going to just ride it out. This kind of shit really does take a toll on you. I don't want to deal with whatever the hell this is anymore. I swear they're following me. Closer and closer each time. Friday. I did something different today. Took public transit instead of driving. Oh, I've never needed a drink more in my life. So I went to a bar after work. I guess this was more of an experiment, to see how closely they've been tracking me. If they're bothered by the waiting, they can go fuck themselves. Yes, I'm still living my life. Although, I couldn't keep my eyes off the windows the whole time I was in there. After getting sufficiently wasted, I flagged a cab down. And, surprise, surprise, there they were, right behind us. But here's what I didn't expect. It was the same car from yesterday. Looks like they've given up the incognito act. Not sure how to feel about that. Damn it. Something else has changed. They didn't just keep driving this time. After the cab dropped me off, I turned around to see that damn car parked half a block away from my house. I just went inside. What the hell was I supposed to do? Calling the cops didn't even occur to me. But to be honest, I don't think that would have helped. It's been 3 hours now, and they're still here. I haven't been watching them the whole time, so I don't know whether or not they're actually in the car. Not a fun thing to think about. Looks like there's no way in hell I'm sleeping tonight. It's about 2 a.m. now. I just got a text message. Private number. Here's what it said. Leave your house. Don't use the front door. They're still there. Come to the all-night diner about 5 blocks away. Don't think about driving. They'll know. Be quick. They're coming in soon. Don't get followed. Leave your lights on. I froze after reading this. They're coming in. For what? Who the hell's texting me? Now, I don't know what you would have done in this situation, but I took the warning. I was paranoid as hell at this point. Buzzed and tired. I put on a jacket and went out my back door. I also took a backpack with my other laptop in it. Not sure why, but I felt like I needed to. I waited for a second before I climbed my own fence. When I was sure nobody had noticed, I started heading towards the diner. After about 40 minutes, I finally got it. It would have been shorter, but I pretty much ducked into the bushes every time a car passed. I scanned the patrons. A table of drunk college kids, a few truckers, and a dude in a hoodie typing away on a computer in the back. He didn't look threatening. Actually, he was pretty scrawny. I made an educated guess. I walked up to his table and sat down. He looked up at me. Hi, what do you want? You texted me. There was a brief pause. I got worried for a second. Jeez, What if it's not him? But he broke the silence. Right. Did they follow you? No, I don't think so. He nodded. All right. And then he laughed. Like this was supposed to be funny. Man, you screwed up, didn't you? Hard to disagree with that. What were you doing anyways? What were you trying to find? Nothing. I swear. I just did it for the hell of it, I guess. He stared at me in amused disbelief. Oh, that's fucking lame. Would have been cool if you were a spy or something. He chuckled again. Look, who are you? How did you know they were after me? Who are they, anyways? I pelted him with questions. All right, settle down there. I'm not gonna tell you who they are. I don't know either. But I will tell you, they don't have good intentions. Good, fantastic. Well, how do you know about them? He paused. They came after me. 1 second I'm reading about demons on the moon. The next I'm getting my door kicked down. This was months ago, so I skipped town. I was confused. Wait, what do you mean? They tried to kill me, dude. I couldn't believe this. And you were just viewing the links. That was it. You teach other people how to get there or something. He raised his eyebrow. No, why do you ask? I was floored. They didn't do that to me, I said. They just came by, took my laptop and gave me a warning. Now it was his turn to look shocked. Really? He seemed to think about something for a while. He then proceeded to ask me what they looked like. Just men in suits, I responded. What did they ask you? Was his follow-up question. Again, I just told him. But then I remembered the last thing they said to me. Oh, yeah. They also asked me what my priorities were. Weird ass question. His face went blank for a second. Yeah, strange, ain't it? What followed was an uncomfortable silence. I finally asked him the thing that had been on my mind ever since that night. That page with just the 4 links. What the hell is that supposed to be? He raised his eyebrow and told me he didn't know what I was talking about. This is where things got strange. After I told him a rough explanation of what I'd seen, his expression changed completely. I could make out a sudden flare in his demeanor. What did you type in the prompt? He asked me. What also seeks me? I answered. I was thoroughly confused at this point. Isn't that what you did as well? He just shook his head. No. He then shut his laptop and stood up. Well, where the hell are you going? I inquired. We've been here too long. Look, I know you have questions, but I can't answer them for you. Go to a motel tonight or something. And just like that, he was gone. What was I going to do? Stop him? I still have no idea who the hell this guy is. The only thing I got out of him was his name, Jackson, and even that's probably fake. Tired as hell and still a little bit drunk, I left the diner and tried to stay hidden as I looked for a nearby motel. Obviously, this wasn't fun. Now, here I am, sitting in some sketchy motel at 4:30 a.m. I can barely keep my eyes open, but I also can't help but look over my shoulder every second I'm awake. This is the pinnacle of shitty situations. I guess I'll try and get some sleep. Nothing else I can do. I'll figure it out in the morning. Saturday. Well, I guess it's been Saturday for a while, actually. It's 8 a.m. now. Barely got any sleep. I have this creeping, ominous feeling in my gut that something just isn't right. I turned on the TV. Anything to clear my mind for a bit. What I saw next did the exact opposite of that. It was a news report. A man strangled to death in a KFC bar. But the person who'd been murdered was one of the guys that came to my house and took my computer that night. No suspects. I just stared at the screen for the longest time. What the hell was going on? My phone suddenly buzzed. A different message from a private number. This is what it said. Go to the swimming pool on 5th Street. In the men's locker room, go to locker 128. The combination is 12, 27, 33. Further instructions are in there. Do so before this text gets intercepted. Don't bring your phone. Of course, how stupid was I? My phone was still on me. Surely whoever was after me would have been able to track me. This had never even crossed my mind. Out of curiosity, I peeked outside my window. Sure enough, the car that's been following me was now parked right there. Luckily for me, I caught my first glimpse of the driver and the passenger getting out. They were both wearing gloves, and one was holding a briefcase. They're walking towards the entrance now. After I've mailed this to myself and a friend, I'm gonna need to think quick. I've already dropped my phone in the toilet. I'm gonna need to get rid of this laptop next. But people need to know what has happened. If you hear from me again, looks like I found a way out of this. What a goddamn shit show this has been. I'm currently on a plane headed to Scottsdale, Arizona. I haven't actually been out of state in 6 years. I thought I would eventually, didn't expect it to be under these circumstances. Anyways, let me back up a bit first. This is what happened. Right after I disposed of the laptop, I heard my lock being tampered with. Somebody was trying to pick it. Now, I've never been great under pressure, so you could imagine how I was feeling. But the human mind is an interesting thing. When you think you're at the end of the line, your will to live really ramps up. The balcony. Only way out of this. Without hesitation, I ran out and climbed out. Fortunately, I was on the 2nd floor, so I didn't break my legs. Now came a decision. Run or hide. Neither seemed too promising. Shit, I thought. I was panicking. That's when I spotted Salvation. The cab parked on the other side of the line. I bolted for it. I tapped on the window, startling the driver. "Mr. Horvat?" he asked. Well, no, it wasn't. But I nodded anyways. "You said 8:40, didn't you?" He looked at me in confusion. "Finished early. Let's go." There was anxiousness in my voice, but I tried to hide it. Last thing I needed was for this guy to think I was a lunatic and drive off. I got in, told him the address, and we got out. As we left the lot, I looked back. The 2 men I saw coming out of the car were now on the balcony where I had just been. I could tell that there was a dead stare directed right at me behind their sunglasses. Despite all this, relief washed me. It was short-lived, though. I relayed the message I got in my head. Do so before this text gets intercepted. That meant I was still on the clock. If they didn't know where I was headed yet, they soon would. We finally got to the place about 15 minutes later. As soon as I got in, I rushed into the locker room. It was mostly empty. I kept repeating the combination in my head. This was the only thing I had. I didn't really care about getting answers before, but it seemed like I had no choice now. I finally found the locker. Don't know why this guy chose such a massive place. 12 left, 27 right, 33 left. I swung it open. Sitting there was an older BlackBerry model and an envelope. I opened it up to find a plane ticket, 2,000 in cash, and a sticky note. In horrific penmanship, the words, "Check phone. Password, snake tracks," were scrawled across it. I obliged and booted up the ancient device. I remember being slightly amused. I'd always begged my parents for one of these when I was a kid. This was a far cry from them. I took a quick look through the phone. It was mostly blank. No apps downloaded, no pictures, nothing. There was only one contact, bluntly named, "Call me." So I did. After just one ring, a voice answered. There was a sense of tentativeness in his tone. Somehow, it sounded familiar. Who is this? Well, how the hell was I supposed to answer this? Should I say my name? "I got your message," I finally responded. There was a brief pause. His response caught me off guard. "What's your religious affiliation?" His tone had gotten a lot more aggressive. Why the hell was he asking me this? I thought. I didn't have enough energy to question him. Raised Protestant, but now agnostic, I guess, was my answer. He seemed to breathe a quick sigh of relief. Then he cut the line. Well, shit. Is this guy nuts or something? My thoughts were interrupted as I got a message. He'd sent me an address and a room number. "Meet me" was the only other thing he'd typed. I looked at it for a second before coming to my senses. Jeez, I'm an idiot. I should have just taken the stuff and bolted. I heard the door to the locker room swing open. Then footsteps coming towards where I was. Sprinting, actually. I flipped shit. I shoved the stuff into my pockets and started looking for a way out. Again, there was really only one option here. I started making a break for the pool entrance. As I ran, fucking gunshots started ringing out behind me. I could tell they were using silencers, but boy, that doesn't do a whole lot when you're only 40 feet away. I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my side. I saw a bullet penetrate a locker right up ahead. God, that didn't miss by much. I ran faster than I thought I was ever able of doing. I almost slipped into the damn pool as I stumbled out. The lifeguard shouted at me as I burst out the emergency exit. I couldn't stop there. I hurried along, making turns every minute, looking over my shoulder the whole time. It's a good thing I was downtown. I blended into the sea of people easily. At one point I saw a pair of policemen. I considered telling them. I really did. But what's that going to do? They'll search for those two guys, turn up with nothing, monitor my house for a couple of days, and then call everything off. It wasn't going to solve anything. I finally ducked into a hair salon. I couldn't run anymore. The barber just looked at me like I was insane. Screw it, I thought. Might as well make myself less recognizable while I'm here. I got him to shave it all off. I spent the rest of the day making various purchases. A used laptop, a new set of clothes, some bandages, and a pair of shades. Well, at least something good came out of this. The flight was supposed to be in a couple of hours at this point. I called a cab and made my way there. And that's where I am now. I've got a long trip ahead of me still. Let's see what happens next. As I made my way out to the airport, I recoiled at the heat. God, it's November. How does anyone live here during the summer? I called another cab. Got to the address. It was a Holiday Inn. I laughed to myself. Gee, how ominous, I thought. I made my way up to the room and knocked on the door. A billion thoughts were running through my head. What if this was a trap? I actually thought about just running away for a second. But I realized that wouldn't accomplish shit. After about a minute, the door opened. A wave of surprise washed over me. But, well, in retrospect, this is exactly who I should have been expecting. It was the other guy that came to my house that night. The one that didn't get strangled. He didn't look great, though. He had a black eye and a busted lip. And just looked tired in general. He looked me over before gesturing me in. He had a slight limp as he walked. Nice haircut, he muttered softly. He sat down on the bed, and I sat on the couch across from him. There was a long silence. The whole time he just stared at the ground. To be honest, I didn't know what to say. So I said, he finally spoke. Might as well let you know what's going on. He then proceeded to let it all out. About 4 years ago, there was an incident in the Paris catacombs. I got the chills after hearing it. 4 teenagers decided it would be a good idea to wander off during a tour. I guess they got lost or something, because they weren't there at the end. The police pretty much swept everywhere. No sign of them. Eventually, the government decided to set up infrared cameras all around the place, just to see what would turn up. One day, one of the cameras picked up movement. Nobody anticipated what they were going to see next. It was hell manifested. An abomination of writhing limbs somehow stuck together squirmed across the screen. There were 4 human heads stuck to the top of this thing. You can guess who they were. I was beyond speechless. I thought about that video of the catacombs. Glad I didn't stick around for the grand reveal. He continued. They decided to send elite forces down there to exterminate it. Apparently it took out 12 men before they could put it down. Now, the question was, what were they going to do with the video? They couldn't just get rid of it, but they didn't want anyone to see it either. And this was around the time the whole Snowden thing was going on, so they didn't feel comfortable just using government servers. So, this is where that website you saw comes into play. They got the most seasoned technical experts they had to bury it somewhere deep in the internet. And I'm talking about as deep as they could go. Nobody was supposed to know about it. Nobody was supposed to find it. And nobody was even supposed to know what to look for. I racked my brain over this. Sure, I knew my way around. But there was no way in hell that I was on par with government experts. So, how did I find it? He continued. It worked well for a while. They made a pact with governments worldwide. Anything they deemed unfit for public knowledge went on that site. There were even precautions. For every real thing on there, they posted 4 fake ones. For the select few that actually managed to find it. Wait, what? I couldn't believe this. He just chuckled. Yeah, most of that stuff you saw was bullshit. Most. The videos are harder to fake. I didn't know how to feel about this. I was slightly relieved, I guess. Just slightly. He kept on. The logic behind this was that once people found these things, they'd look further into it. However, since they were fabricated, nothing would come up and the page would be disregarded. Just a gag site. At least, that was the idea. I knew where he was getting at. What about the people who started looking into the real things? He sighed. Look, nobody would have given a shit if they'd started spouting it off to their friends or on the internet. People would think they're crazy. It's those damn people that have to just go and find proof. The ones that plan to publicize it. Yeah, they get silenced. I was about to say something. I think he noticed because he cut me off. Look, don't pull that moralistic shit on me. They didn't have to do it. It was their choice. They were committing a crime. Do you really think public knowledge about any of these things would help anyone? No, it wouldn't. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, alright? To be honest, I had to agree. But here's where things really went to shit. He went on. Before, there'd be maybe 2 breaches a month. Then it skyrocketed up to 20, and then 50. They looked into it. Apparently there were rumors circulating around the deep and dark web. A rumor around a page that held secrets nobody was supposed to see. They decided to find out how easy it really was to access this place from just reading the forums and shit. Took the experts about 20 minutes to find it. Just by solving weird fucking riddles and then following these concealed links that would spawn from them. And then there was the final prompt. What do you seek? You've seen it, no? I nodded. Apparently, there's a lot of different answers that could work. Anyways, it didn't make any sense. Everybody that was supposed to know about this was grilled. Somebody had to be doing this, right? Nobody fessed up. Honestly, everybody seemed genuine when they said they didn't do it. They knew the consequences. After a brutally in-depth investigation, nothing was resolved. And then it hit them. Back in 2010, they'd also finalized an experimental AI. I'll spare you the details, but it went off the rails. Nobody could control it. As soon as they thought they could corner it into a virtual trap, it just disappeared. It didn't come up again. Well, until now. He paused after that, like he was waiting for me to connect the dots. So, you think that this AI surfaced and is now directing people there? I asked. He said that he didn't think that was the case. No, he knows it was. It's the only feasible explanation, he stated. But why? I don't know, he responded. I was starting to get a hunch now about why this was happening to me. These people, they aren't after me because I saw those links, are they? I just nodded. It's what I saw after. You think this AI has something to do with it? Another nod. Well, what did I see? He took a second before speaking. I couldn't tell you. There's some things that even I don't know about. All I can tell you is that there are some groups Some people out there, beyond any government, that are after this kind of stuff. This forbidden knowledge. And somehow they know that you've seen it. And they want to know what you know. And they came after you as well? I asked. Yeah, they know we talked to you. A wave of guilt came over me. Gee, did I get that guy killed? However, that guilt quickly turned into frustration. Well, what the hell am I supposed to know? I don't know what the hell it was I saw. A dry chuckle came out of him. Well, they don't care, do they? They'll jump at anything. And who do you work for? The government? I finally asked. The question had been on my mind since I got here. Well, sort of, was all he responded with. He got up, taking out a pair of car keys. We gotta figure this out. We've gotta go. Go where? I asked. Vegas. In any other situation, I would have been ecstatic. We went outside and he led me to an older, beat-up sedan. Inconspicuous, he said with a smile. I could tell he was just trying to lighten the mood. The drive was long and arduous. We barely spoke. My brain was fried at this point, so I didn't bother asking more questions. I did remember one peculiar conversation we had. Listen, if anything happens to me, there should be a file on the BlackBerry named Contingency. Everything you need to know will be there. I remember feeling flustered. What? What could happen to you? I responded. I don't know. Just in case, I guess. Don't lose that phone. In reality, I knew there were a lot of things that could happen. I just didn't want to admit it. He woke me up when we arrived at McCarran. I was confused. Do you have plane tickets? Don't need them, he responded. He got out of the car and I followed him in. What happened next was strange. He just walked past everyone. The check-in, security, everybody. They didn't even pay attention to him. Not to me either. That's when I started to wonder who the hell this guy really was. As we walked past the various stores and restaurants set up near departures, he took a sharp turn. I stumbled, keeping up. He walked towards an unassuming door set up right between two shops. He swung it open, and I followed. We walked down a bunch of corridors, turning every so often. Various men in suits passed us, but didn't seem to acknowledge our presence. We finally got to another door. This one required a key card. He took one out and scanned it. I didn't realize how huge this place really was until I thought about it after. We must have passed at least another 15 hallways. Anyways, the door opened up to what looked like a long flight of stairs. We trekked down for about 5 minutes before we got to what looked like another turn. Now, it didn't look futuristic or anything, just a regular dam. Surely there's no planes taking off from here, I asked. He said I was right. That's when I noticed the train tracks. Now, we wait. And he sat down on a bench. Hey, well, great. I'd given up trying to piece this together in my head, so I didn't even bother asking what this place was. Let's just see what happens, I thought. But as I'd soon find out, things are not that simple these days. I spotted a washroom sign towards the back, and I headed for it. As I was washing my hands after finishing up, I noticed what seemed to be like a card stuck into the side of the mirror. I plucked it out and looked at it. It was a standard business card size, just plain white with black text. But here's what it said. From far and wide, we search for meaning. As seconds pass, since the time of we. Our destiny is sealed. We'll face the wraith. We don't need hope. We have our faith. We will not stop until we are dust. All for God, in whom we trust. Creepy, I thought. And then I turned it over. In big, bold letters was FOTLG. No idea what that's supposed to be. However, in that moment I felt that something wasn't quite right. It's that creeping sensation you get when something just feels off. I needed to tell him, whoever the hell he is, about this. I opened the door, and he was gone. I searched around the terminal for a bit, but he was nowhere to be found. Hell, there was nobody else here at all. The place started rumbling slightly. The train was coming. Well, I sure as hell wasn't getting on it by myself. I looked around a bit more before I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. Great, I thought. He's back. Then I realized it wasn't just one pair of steps. There were multiple. Instead of seeing a familiar face, I was greeted with 4 of what I assumed to be men. I couldn't tell because their faces were covered with a burlap sack that had eye holes carved out. Kind of like the one Scarecrow wears in Batman Begins. The only difference was a symbol that seemed to be spray painted on where the forehead should be. It was simple. A vertical semicircle with angular arrows going through it. As I recall, the rest of their getup was normal. Just plain street clothes. I was frozen. And then I realized that one of them had liquid dripping off his glove. Dark liquid. The next few moments were a blur. I remember the train pulling up and those guys starting to run towards me. I started bolting for the train. It was a weird one. Only one section and one set of doors. I don't think I saw a driver. As I ran up to it, the doors opened automatically. I remember frantically looking for a shut button, but there wasn't one. I just stared in horror as those freaks got closer and closer. As they got within about 10 meters, I closed my eyes and just prayed for the best. I opened them when I heard kicking and banging at the door. It wasn't opening for them. I watched their crazed eyes follow me as the train started moving. I was safe, but only for now. I turned on the phone again and took a thorough look through it. Sure enough, the text file he mentioned was there. Guess I'll read it soon, after I'm done with this. Now, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's waiting for me there. My head's pounding. All I know is I should just have stayed on Google. I'm not so sure what to think anymore. I mean, it's not like anything was clear-cut before, but the world just continues to make less and less sense. I've opened up the contingency file. This is what it contained. Failsafe. Agent incapacitated. Alias Jack Rust. Identity redacted. Custom message. Hello there. If you're reading this, I suppose I'm out of commission. Shame, I guess. I'm going to assume that we've at least made it to the terminal. Here's what you need to do. Get on the train. Do so as soon as it comes. There's only a 10-second window where it'll open for anybody. Now, it's going to be the 5th. Count them. The 5th stop you'll need to get off at. There won't be any announcements, no indications, nothing. Do not fall asleep. Just pay attention. This train goes fast, but it'll still take a while, so be patient. While you're in there, do not look out of the windows. There's nothing to look at anyways. You'll be in a tunnel. Nevertheless, it's better that you refrain from doing so. You see, we've been having problems recently. Sometimes, something stares back at you, and you can't really look away. Now, what I'm going to mention next isn't likely. I'd say it's a 1 in 1,000 chance. But you don't have the means to deal with it, so you'll need a heads up. If, at any one of the stops, you see or hear the door opening, hide under the seats. There shouldn't be anybody getting on right now. Just close your eyes and wait for them to leave. Now, if they're still there after the 4th stop, well, I'm sorry. Once you've arrived at the 5th, get out. It'll be another terminal, a very small one. There should be stairs to the right and a ladder to the left. Do not even think about going down the stairs. As you go up the ladder, it should start getting darker. Don't worry, this is what's supposed to happen. Keep feeling upwards. Eventually you should touch something solid. If it's a fake rock, push it up and climb out, and put it back when you're done. You should now be in a dead wheat field. This is Texas, between Crockett and Sutton County, to be specific. Start looking around. There should be a small, abandoned farmhouse visible a few miles in the distance. Go towards it. Once you've gone in, look for a basement. The place isn't big, you should find it easily enough. Once you have, go down there. Now, the lights won't work, so it'll be dark. Turn the brightness up on the phone if you have to. You should be looking for a big, red door. There's only one. So if you think you've found it, you have. There's going to be a numerical set of buttons right by the handle. The password is 5, 3, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, this part's a doozy. Not that you have to do anything crazy. It's just what I'm about to tell you. You see, the reason these people knew where to find you was because they went through us first. We'd been monitoring you ever since you started getting close to finding that page. I didn't tell you because, well, why would I? Apparently there was a mole informant in our midst. I believe that he was a member of a cult that we thought went defunct a while ago. The, faction of the Lost Gods. Yeah, that's what they call themselves. I won't go into detail on them here. All I'll tell you is that they would go to the ends of the earth to find what you saw that day. That's their one and only objective. They aren't the only group like this. However, they're the one that we're worried about. Oh yes, once they started hearing about those riddles, they thought that this thing was trying to communicate with somebody. Well, with them. Trying to lead them there. But this is the part that didn't make any sense. The thing that had stumped all of us. You were never supposed to see what you did. It wasn't supposed to be there. We have no clue why it was. One of the strangest things was that nobody had even created the page that it popped up on. We don't know how you found it. You were the first person that saw it since we took it off the site. This is where things got hairy for us. As soon as the informant noticed this, we called in a raid on our Texas headquarters. That's the one you're going to. Gee, it was a massacre. They stole our equipment and started tracking you down themselves. Luckily for me, I wasn't there for that. I was already on my way to you. Now, we don't work for the government. We just work with them. But these politicians, they have a real antiquated code of ethics. A real antiquated idea of how to fix
That
things.
wasn't that bad.
You see, these
an hour
cult
run
members
or
aren't
something like
so
that,
easy to
I think.
find. If they were,
Kinda similar to
they would have been
last night.
neutralized a long time ago.
Oh, call it a stream there.